Whoever taught women that we need to be passive in dating needs to be arrested. The reason why I'm wearing my high school basketball jersey right now is because I'm now a woman who shoots her shot in dating. At the end of 2022, I decided to take a break from dating for a few months to gather my thoughts and reaffirm my foundation. And that little 3 to 5 month break ended up turning into a year of not dating. In the midst of all of this, I ended up having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was telling him about my dating woes and how the guys who are approaching me aren't really my spec. And he asks me, why don't you shoot your shot at the guys you're interested in? And I'm like, sir, say no more. That's terrifying. Let's cut this conversation off. In all of the ego and the this is inappropriate conversations, he made some very valuable points that literally changed my perspective on approaching dating moving forward. And I thought it would be worth sharing them with you. The main point that he made that shifted everything for me was that if I sit back and only pick from the people who are approaching me, my pool is much smaller than if I see the type of people I'm interested in, approach them, and get to know them. That then gives me a level of control within the dating game instead of just sitting back and seeing what comes to me. If I look at the things that were just given to me in my life, in my business, if I had just taken those things and not gone actively after the things I wanted, my life would be mediocre at best and tragic at worst. So why would I now take my relationship life and apply a completely different principle to it that clearly has not been working? When I decided that I was going to do this, there were a few different thoughts that came into my head trying to stop me from moving forward. And one of the big ones was that I did not want to come off as desperate. And when you think about desperation, it can seem so icky and unattractive, but when you're getting to know someone and shooting your shot in the way that I'm going to be shooting my shot moving forward, it's not desperation. It's more so curiosity. So I see someone, I think they're interesting. I want to get to know more about them, and I'm going to reach out and say hello. If I say hello and they ignore me, I'm going to stop talking. I'm not going to continue. And I think that's where desperation comes in. Desperation is really when you can't take that hint and you keep going and going and going for something when someone is blatantly or passively letting you know that they're not interested in you. The way I'm observing this whole thing is really like a hypothesis, because at the end of the day, we don't know people until we actually know them. So if I see someone and I think that he's interesting or he could be interesting, I'm going to test that hypothesis to see if it's true. And I think why this also works for me and why it could also work for you is that instead of ruminating over thoughts of curiosity and what if, you get the answer right away. If you think the guy's cool and you want to get to know more about him and you have a casual conversation with him with no intention, just curiosity, trying to get to know someone, within 15, 20 minutes of that conversation, you'll probably know if it's something you want to pursue further or not. And that saves you so much more time than ruminating and racking your brain over, when's he going to message me? Does he notice me? How do I get him to be the first one? I like control over the things that I want in this life. And if I know that I have the power and the ability to see something through, I'm not going to waste time trying to put that power in other people's hands, because then my time is wasting and my mind is spinning, and that does no good for me. Another thing that I had to get out of my mind was that shooting my shot meant that I was going to be the one pursuing the man for the rest of the time. So if I happen to see someone at a party or on the internet that I think is particularly interesting and they don't see me and I go out of my way to say, hello, I'm Toks, nice to meet you, and we have a conversation. As that conversation progresses, I'm going to be able to see their energy. And if that energy does not match what I need in a relationship, what I need from somebody who I believe is interested in me, there will be no more conversations. Like I am just pretty much opening the floor to let it be known that, hey, I find you interesting, I'm open, and if you are interested as well, you can proceed. If you don't want to proceed, all the best in your future endeavors. And I feel like that is so powerful because I'm not sitting around waiting for someone, but I'm still able to assess how I want to be treated by that person if there's someone I'm actually interested in based on how they proceed with my shot and my introduction to them. The biggest thing that came up for me and will probably also come up for you is the thought of rejection. Rejection sucks. It does not feel good and it can be such a giant bruise to your ego. But I have found a way to really rethink and reframe rejection in this whole situation so that it's not actually as big of a risk as it would be in other situations. Because this is a hypothesis, you're not going into the situation with every single egg in the basket. You shouldn't even bring a basket when you're doing this. Don't bring a basket, don't bring any eggs. Go in curious because this person is interesting on the outside. You don't know anything about them. So therefore you are not banking on anything except for figuring out if they're interesting enough for you to continue to get to know and if they're interested in continuing to get to know you. So because of that, you're not going to experience rejection. You're not coming in and saying, hey, hi, I'm Toks. I'm the love of your life. I'm your wife. I'm going to be everything. We are going to have children. No, we're not doing that. That is terrifying. That is desperate. What we are doing is saying, hey, I'm Toks. How are you? Let's have a conversation. This conversation can lead to friendship. This conversation can lead to business opportunities. This conversation can lead to the love of your life. But being outcome independent is what allows you to, one, have the confidence to walk up to someone and say hello to them. And two, it gives you the confidence to be able to walk away and not be sad that you've been rejected, because what are they rejecting you from? They're not rejecting you from anything. You're seeing if this is someone you want to get to know. If they're not because they don't want to get to know you, then they're not because you don't want to get to know someone who doesn't want to get to know you either. If they are, you both continue this relationship, friendship, whatever it is, until it turns into whatever it's meant to be. I'm super excited for myself, and I'm also excited for you. And I hope that you take this and start to actively pursue the things you want. If we think about our lives as a whole, and if you want relationship and you want marriage, your marriage, who you get married to, can make or break your destiny. So to actually sit back and passively let whomever wants to approach you, and you not have a say in deciding what you want your future to look like is quite reckless, in my opinion. So let's start shooting our shots. If you like this video, like. If you love it, subscribe. And if you have a friend that you think is ready or should be ready to approach dating in this way, please send them this video to encourage them and get them back in the court. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.